White Line Fever live. Welcome to White Line Fever. And if you are watching on YouTube, you know what the YouTube people do. They point to the bottom of the screen and it says subscribe and alerts and all that sort of stuff. And if you're listening on the podcast, welcome back. And our guest on a weekend, and we were just saying, I hope you appreciate, we've taken time out of our weekend to speak to you. From Thunder Mother, it's Guernica Mancini. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. I'm good. Just got back from tour.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you where you are, because the breaking news is that Whitesnake have pulled out of that tour in the US that you were doing with Scorpions. So what's the status of that now? Is that continuing with just you guys and Scorpions?
I mean, as far as we know, yes. And they're considering adding another, band like them, but we don't know much more than you guys do, honestly. We just know that we might get slightly longer time to play, which we're excited about, but obviously we're very bummed that Whitesnake won't be able to make it, because that was one of the bands. I mean, we were really looking forward to meeting them and seeing them live, and they're legends. So it's sad that he's not feeling well, but yeah, we're gonna continue as planned. We're going.
And this is your biggest North American opportunity ever, isn't it? And maybe the biggest non-festival crowd that you will have ever played to.
100%, yes. There's so many bucket list things like checking off on this tour that it's ridiculous, and it feels really cool that this is going to be our first North American experience, and it being on this level, big arenas and big crowds like that. So it's really exciting.
New album's Black and Gold, and most people haven't heard it yet. Some of us have had a bit of a sneak preview, and I really loved it. Can you tell us a little bit about how you're going to put out? Are you going to put out every single song before the album comes out, or what's the plan?
I wish. No, no, but we're putting out, I think we decided on 5 or 6 singles, but it's going to be 5. Well, the last single is coming out the same day as the album release, the 19th of August. What can I tell you about the album? I feel like we really poured our heart and souls into the writing, really being able to express all the stuff, the frustrations that we've been feeling for a long time, that not only the pandemic, like stuff in the industry and people that we've worked with and all these things that once you wake up and see the reality of the people around you, it's kind of like hard not to see. And I feel like we were able to put that in lyrics in a good, like in a Thunder Mother cheeky way, we're talking about real issues, but in a more, I guess, lighthearted way. But yeah, so I'm really proud of that. And yeah, honestly, I feel like all 12 songs could be singles. So yeah, that's pretty good.
I heard you talk about I Don't Know You, and there's an Aussie band called the Casanovas, what I recommend to you, and they wrote a similar song called Stand Back, about people give you some space, when you're on tour and stuff like that. Yeah. And I really recommend their album Reptilian Overlord if you get the chance to listen to it. Cool. But there's another song on there. Now, what was it called? I'm trying to remember. I had a question about it, and I've had a mental block about it. Hooks and Looks. All looks, no hooks. Now, what inspired that one? Who inspired that one?
I'd say there's several people. I would say the internet inspired that one. I mean, it's just, for us, we get judged way more on our looks than we ever, than we think is necessary, because we're not here to be models. We're musicians, and I think that we do that really well, and that's all you should talk about. Like, either you like us as a musician or not, but like discussing how fat we are or this and that is so fucking annoying. And so yeah, we get frustrated with that, because there's a lot of people, like influencers, that you might meet them at a party or whatever, and on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, they have big personalities and they're all this, they're extra everything, and then once you meet them, they're so boring and empty, and like it's so weird. It's like, yeah, like chatting with people that are really good at chatting, and then you meet them and they're really like timid and strange. It's like, that's not really us.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
So
it's a combination of all that stuff.
I'm glad I asked that question because that's a really good answer. Do you get on social media after a gig and try to find out what reactions people have to a gig or a TV appearance, and then you get dismayed because they're just talking about what you're wearing, or you know what I mean? Is
Uh,
that
I'm to be completely honest, I am definitely one of those people. I'm a very curious person, so I always
Mhm.
want to like find every answer, and it's not the best side of me, and I'm really working hard to like, you know, cool down and not look at stuff because it's
Mm.
not really helpful most of the time. Even though we get really a lot of nice comments, I'm still struggling dealing with the few really bad ones, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a
yeah.
it's a hard time learning how to deal with that, but I think like I, I don't know, it's gonna take me a while not to look at comments and stuff, but I'm really doing my best not to, and also not to when I do get frustrated, which has happened a few times, I've promised the girls that I won't start shit online. I won't start talking
Write
because
another
it's
song about it, right? Just write a song about it.
yeah, exactly. That's what I should do.
Now, everybody, welcome back to Whiteline Fever. Second part of our interview with Guernica from Thunder Mother. Want to thank her for her time. Now, I was doing a little bit of research. I know I give this job a bad name doing research, but and I noticed that while singing comes quite naturally to you, you know, not that you don't have to work at it, but you said in this interview I saw that actually speaking, that you actually went to a therapist for your speaking voice.
Yeah.
Is that right? What? Because of you speaking fine to me, I'm sure all the listeners and viewers think you sound fine. What was the story there?
Well, when I was younger, I have a naturally raspy voice, so they really didn't know how to deal with that. A lot of vocal teachers are not really. I don't know what the situation is now. This is like 15 years ago, but
Mhm.
at that time here in Sweden, they weren't very. They really didn't know how to deal with a person like with that. So I had to go to a speech therapist to speak like right on my vocal cords and blah blah. But then fast forward a few years in Thunder Mother with the immense like we tore a lot. So the first year in the band, I got vocal nodes, and I started going to see a doctor for it to, just to film my vocal cords. And after a year of filming, we, I mean, I have like naturally like my raspiness is like I was born with this like damaged vocal cords, which makes it so I am a little. Now I'm extra hoarse because I just came off tour and
Yeah.
and there's a lot of shit going on. But um, yeah, it's just something I had to learn to deal with. Like I do this thing where I blow in a glass jar of water. It's like this really like good healing thing for the vocal cords and stuff like that, and which I'm gonna have to do the rest of my life because I have this, but that also gives me the special character in my voice. So it's
Well, it's an incredible story that you know the thing you're known for is your voice, and that's what you want to be known for. But
yeah,
actually, you were born with a kind of I guess I wouldn't call it a disability, a disadvantage in that area. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It's amazing story. I guess a lot of people had that story, and that leads me into my next question about the whole rock and roll lifestyle. I mean, I was talking to Danny Rexon from Crazy Licks, and seems like he's very disciplined. He's like a sportsman. You know what I mean? He's like,
Yeah.
you guys seem to, even though you're a workaholic, you guys seem to have fun as well, and you're only young as well. Um, so where do you draw the line? And you're a singer, so you got to look after your voice. So how do you sort of balance that on tour? You don't want to just lock yourself in a hotel room. On the other hand, you've got to look after yourself. How do you kind of do that balance?
It's actually really hard, and it's taken me quite a long time to get to a point where it's okay. Um like last year I made a decision, like I can't drink at all when I'm singing. Like I don't drink before shows. I try not to drink during the tours, and then maybe I'll drink with the girls, maybe if we're celebrating afterwards or the last day of a tour and things like that. So those are because, like you said, you have to take care of your voice, and me having this disability or whatever we can call it, um makes it so if I drink, if I do anything, I also have acid reflux and I have all these other things that are not good for my vocal cords. So I really, really have to think about all of these things to be able to sing at 100% all the time. Which
Mhm.
is, I mean, obviously I'm not a machine, but in my mind, I always aim to be at my best at all times, which I know is impossible to be, but I really try hard. And it's really annoying because now the last, oh, now we just played Wacken open air and
Mhm.
we had an amazing time there. But I did go off a little bit on my rules there, and obviously now I'm like way more hoarse than I usually am. So it's a little frustrating, but it's also a testament to like what I've been doing so far has been working. Like, so no drinking before shows and all these things.
Mm.
But I think I don't know that guy. I don't know the
Yeah,
singer in Crazy Licks, but he does look like he's fit and stuff like that.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
that's something that I also need to start taking um more seriously, because I'm like a in the beginning of the pandemic, I was like all in, working out, being good. And then the rest of the half, I was just gaining weight and being, eating my feelings. So,
Eating my
uh,
feelings, yeah.
so I'm like a little bit of both worlds right now. I'm like trying to get back to my healthy routines, but it
Yeah.
is hard.
It's especially when you're
Yeah,
traveling, right? When you're traveling to
yeah,
eat well and exercise every day. So
yeah,
it's so hard. Now, I've got a lot of questions and you don't have a lot of time, but you mentioned in this interview I watched that you want this album is more commercial or accessible. And I just
yeah.
wonder how you measure that in an age where rock is not mainstream. You know what I mean? So how do you just like, is it just we need bigger courses, or is it like
Yeah.
is it production? Is it because one person's commercial is one person's, how do
True.
you how do you kind of determine that,
That's a good question. Uh, Honestly, I'd say that we really focus on having hooks,
Mm,
which I think is very pop or commercial type thing to,
mm,
to really like build a song in that kind of way where there's several hooks in a song, or good strong melodies and stuff like that. So I'd say that's like the main thing. And then
mm,
yeah, maybe it's just main it would, because I love what we do. I feel like everyone should love what we do.
mm. Yeah, 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 yeah.
But yeah, no, honestly, I don't know. That was such a good question.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe I'm
Well,
just being overly confident with our rock music and hoping in my mind we've already taken over the world. So it's like, obviously, this is going to be a great hit album.
yeah, exactly. And it's going to be on the radio everywhere. Okay.
Perfect.
Welcome back to Whitelock TV, the third and final part of interview with Guernica from Thunder Mother. Now, I'm going to go through these questions quickly because we are running out of time. I think I just want to say this to the listeners and viewers because I don't think people are aware that you were born on the 50th anniversary of the bombing of the Basque city of Guernica. And that's why you were named, that's why it was your name, right? And so
Well,
peace.
almost.
Almost.
It was 50 years since it happened, but I'm born in January and it happened in April, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, it was 50. It was the year of the 50-year anniversary since the bombing. So yes,
And it
that's
was
correct.
inspired by the Picasso painting of,
Yeah.
which was a peace painting. So I'm guessing if that kind of pacifism and all that is very big in your family and in who you are, this is a tough time, right? Every time you turn on the news and look at a website,
Yeah.
it's a horrible time, isn't it? Does
It
that?
is a horrible time. It's yeah, it really sucks actually. And I was about to get the peace dove tattooed at Wacken actually.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
yeah, the symbol, because it does mean a lot to me, and we are living in very horrible times right now. And
So
it
you
seems
didn't get
like
the
it's never
tattoo?
ending.
You didn't
No,
get
I
the.
didn't end up getting it because we had a full schedule at Wacken,
Mm-hmm.
and the main tattoo artist, I think he was actually drunk. So I'll take, I'll do it next time.
You could have
But
got
they're good.
anything.
Yeah, no, but they're
Could have got
good
a
friends
bat
of ours.
or a
They've
seagull or something.
tattooed all of us in the band several times, so I'm getting it next time we visit his shop. He's awesome.
Okay. I put the message out for people to ask questions, and one guy, I mean, it's a typical question you get, and you've toured with Rose Tattoo, you get compared to
Oh my
AC/DC.
god! Oh my god! We
Airborne.
met Angry
Yeah,
at Bakken. I love Angry. We love the
yeah.
guy.
He just had his birthday a few days ago.
Yeah.
So coming to Australia, people want to know when are you going to Australia?
As soon as we have a tour plan. We just got a new booking agent, so I think that that's gonna happen eventually. But now we have, we have our main focus is North America, but obviously we want to go to the homeland of the rock that influenced us the most. So obviously we're going there at one point in time.
Well, you've got a solo record deal with an Australian company, Golden Robot. Are you close to, putting something out through that?
Yeah, I'm figuring it out. They've never put any pressure on me because they know how busy I am with Thunder Mother. But the idea is to put out a single now. It might be moved to October because everything has been a little like that, because initially my single was going to come out in September, so we'll
Right.
see if that still is we're able to make that happen. But yeah, the music is on its way, but it's more pop rock. It's a
Right.
mixture.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Okay. And I always ask, bands from your part of the world this question. I'm going to let you go after this. Is why is it such a haven of like a bastion, a last bastion of rock? Why is it? And I've had two bands actually say the Darkness. The Darkness were massive in Scandinavia, and they inspired a whole generation of kids. Why do you think it is? Why do you think people hold on to it so tightly there, where it kind of fades elsewhere?
Oh my God. I definitely the weather, absolutely the weather. But I just think that we have such a culture of so many great bands before us, and there's like generations of good musicians here.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that makes it so it stays alive,
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
we also have a very good governmental support to start bands and have, try instruments and all these things that makes it so anyone could basically pick up an instrument and at least try it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, once you try it, it's hard not to continue.
Yeah, that's good. Government support. That's a good one. Okay, I've got more questions, but you don't have more time, I don't think. So I'm going to let you go.
We can do another question. One more question.
Okay. The other thing I wrote down here was, what is your relationship like with the songs from before you're in the band? Like, can you actually belt out every single song Thunder Mother have recorded? Or have you just got, from before you're in the band, you've got 12 or 10 or 6 that you can do? Have you learned every single song?
No. Okay. No. I don't have honestly, that's also a weird thing of me being a singer, but I have a really hard time learning lyrics.
Oh, really?
So I prioritize the ones we do live. So once we decide on doing anything from the the previous records, then I'll learn it. But also some of them are not in my range, like they're just too high or just not, it's hard for me to do. But we do play a lot of the old songs still. Like we do Shoot to Kill, Thunderous. We have a few on rotation that we always do live, and I love playing them. I think it's really cool. It's part of our history, and I'm proud of being, to be part of it. So
I do have one more question, which might be a bit of a psychiatrist couch question. I apologize if it is, but but you said that you were always frightened of living with regret. That's an unusual thing for a teenager to think. Most teenagers just think about this weekend, and you know what I mean. They don't. Yeah. So why? Was there something? Was there an example in your life or your experience where you were scared of living with regret, and that drives you, I guess, to do what you're doing?
I think growing up in my parents are political immigrants from Uruguay, so they obviously didn't have the life that they had planned initially because they had to flee their country, and they moved to Sweden in the 70s, and then they got it. Now this is going to get real deep here, but then they got a divorce, and my mom has been like a single parent and had to do all these like whatever jobs she could get to get food on the table and pay so we could have some sort of security. So for me it's been more of like, and I've seen how she's had a lot of regrets. Like she always wanted to study, go to the university, but she didn't have the self-confidence to do those things, and all these life choices that led her to, I love my mom, but I sometimes I growing up I felt the bitterness. So I think that has really like made a mark in me, where it's like I really need to gamble on myself. You know what I mean? I really need to do that for me, because I really don't want to sit in that situation like my mother and be like regretful for the things that she never was able to do because of getting kids too early or doing this and blah blah. I'm not saying it's impossible, obviously, but it comes with a lot of other things, like you need to believe in yourself. You have to self-confidence, self-worth, all these things that are also hard if you're like in an abusive relationship and blah blah blah. So I think all those things, and I always really, maybe it's because I'm Aquarius, I don't know, but I've always really, I think a lot. Like I'm a super analytical person. Like I overthink everything, and I've been like that since I was a kid. So for me, it's more about, okay, I need to dare to do this, and then if it doesn't work out, I'll study, I'll do something else, because I really want to have a good life for myself as well. But I need, for my well-being, to give it 1,000% to just do what really is in my heart, and it's music and singing and writing and doing what I do now. So yeah, that was a long answer, but I think that's a good question.
Well, it was the question pales in comparison to the answer, and I think you probably inspire a lot of people by sharing that instead of just not telling me or giving me their line. You know what I mean? Some people watching.
Nobody's ever asked me that. Everyone just like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, but yeah, it's actually, I mean, it is deeper than that, but yeah.
Yeah.